procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, that's how we grow. Using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. Crystal,
Hey.
how are you today?
Hey, co-host, I'm good. Been a crazy busy week. Had a good holiday. It was quiet.
Yeah.
But then when it came back, it was like the world was on fire.
Oh man.
I have been consulting and helping people feel good.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for. Our job here is to make small businesses feel better.
Right. So that's what I've been up to. It's been quite a week.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually happy it's Friday, but it not like that makes it go away because I still got a full day tomorrow, Saturday. I got the kids for Business Institute. We meet twice a month, and then I have tennis in the morning, and the county or the governor or the mayor, I think both of them at this point keep shutting us down. So we got to do some other things.
They're saying they're going to shut us down for the next 3 weeks.
On the courts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because of those insolent people that insisted on going to visit somebody for Thanksgiving.
They're complaining about the fact that we have to stay inside, but then they're the ones who are causing us to stay inside. They don't want to follow the rules. They don't want to wear masks. They don't want to social distance. And then when it creates ramifications and repercussions, then all of a sudden they're crying and complaining, "Oh, you're shutting down my business. It's your fault."
Right. What? Just stay home. And so now they're going to have to they're going to have to go Barracuda.
Yeah. See, they want to get it both ways, just like the orange man there. He wants to have things both ways. I have to tell this to you, Crystal, because I was cracking up when I heard it. Those people down in Georgia, the GOP, they're telling their supporters not to vote. They said, don't vote. Stay home. Don't vote. So I'm going, good. That's
don't vote. Don't vote.
Don't vote. Stay home. The other side will go out and vote.
It's insane. But did you see the who is it? The assistant elector. He just was so mad. It was like he was yelling at his children.
Oh
when they were threatening and the body threat, the cyber threats.
But you know what, though, Crystal, I kind of feel sorry for him, but I don't, because because these people, they bring it on to themselves. When their little stupid idiot counterparts are saying bad things and doing bad things, they don't chastise them. They don't tell them, admonish them, and say, "Hey, don't do that, man. That's not how we roll." But instead, they stay quiet. They stay complicit. And now that it's directed to them directly, and it's impacting them directly, all of a sudden now, it's a bad thing. I'm not sorry for that.
Yeah, right, exactly. Alfred says, keep the faith. The Creator has a master plan. You're absolutely right, Alfred.
That's right, Alfred. I totally agree, man. I totally agree. That's why they're eating their own right now.
They're eating. They're literally feeding on themselves. But today we got a promise and maybe a impartial agreement for a relief plan, not stimulus, but a relief plan.
Yeah.
And Nancy Pelosi, I like the fact that she says we just got to wait till we have a new president in January, and we'll work on it then. Because to shut us down again.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if we had a shutdown, we were shut down up until July. If
Yeah.
everyone had complied,
Yeah.
everyone had worn a mask,
Mm-hmm.
everyone had done what they were doing, we
Right.
would have been out on the other side. Like
Right.
Italy,
Yeah.
they've moved on, and they had a really bad problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other, who else? China, they kind of came back and went back through it and came back out again.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that are running around
That's still
screaming.
doing it since March, right?
Right, exactly. And saying things like, saying things, that makes no sense. You can't be pro-life and not put on a mask.
Yeah.
You really can't.
That's a good one. That's a good one. You're pro-life, but you're not wearing a mask. I like that.
Yeah, you are not pro-life if you wear a mask. You need to protect people, not if you want to go walk and walk,
and and
but
and and
not
and
grandparents, not your children. You need to protect them.
and not only are you protecting yourselves, but you're also protecting your neighbor and your family members and other people around you. That's really what it's all about. It's like people are being very
Yes,
selfish.
that's
You
what it's
know,
about.
yeah, people are being selfish, man. They don't want to
I I
look
I, I
out for our neighbor. It's crazy.
no, not at all. Tanisha says, "Hi, Crystal and Gilbert. Happy holidays to you both. I've worked with you at the Urban League. And Crystal, do you know of any adult tennis classes? Great to see you both. Yes, actually, I have my program. My youth program has a adult tennis program as well, and we play at Harvard Park. Right now, though, we're in reduce mode. So reach out to me, and I will tell you when we're back up to full mode. Right now, only people who are related to each other, live in the same house, can go play tennis.
Hey, Tanisha, appreciate you reaching out and supporting us on the Business Zone. Hey, you need to give us a call and schedule yourself as a guest to be on this show so we can talk a little bit more about your contributions to the economy. Okay? So thanks for
uh,
listening, Tanisha.
yeah, so yeah, we have to have her on. So yeah, this week has been when that call came in, I was like, oh no, I gotta get my nails done. And right now it's a touch and go, because if the ICUs of the hospitals get clogged up, then that's when everything shuts back down.
Yeah.
So it's these are some interesting times. Can you think about what the history, how the history books are going to um, what stories they're going to tell about 2020, just the whole 1 year,
But yeah,
2020.
but you remember what I've been saying on this show, Crystal, that what everything we do is cyclical. It's history, and history repeats itself at different times. A lot of what we're going through right now was done before in history. Like back in 1918, the Spanish flu, that type of thing.
Hmm.
It wasn't handled this way, but there were some leaders who handled it this way. You see what I'm saying? There are some
Right.
leaders in the parts of the world that did that. So it's cyclical, man. It keeps coming back around. And what we need to do to learn from history is to take what we experienced before, tweak it a little bit, and make it better for the future. So the next time around when it happens, we're going to be in a better place. That's what history is all about. Everything that's going on right now happened before. Everything.
Yeah, it has happened before. I don't know if we were as stupid before.
No, no. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It probably wasn't us who made those stupid moves. It probably was another nation. You see what I'm saying? Because remember at one time the Japanese, they shut off their country to the world. They didn't want to trade with the world. They didn't want to interface with the world. They
Right.
shut off, so no one could access them. No one could trade with them. But then they realized, hey, we can't sell enough cars like, the Americans and others, the Germans. So we probably gonna have to start opening our borders again and start doing business. And then see, as soon as they did, business start booming, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it's the same thing. So all these idiotic leaders who claim that, oh, America first, they're really living, with their head in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. And today I was listening to Biden, and I tell you, it is so relaxing to hear his voice. It's so smooth. Even when he's cutting off reporters, it's done with respect. It's like,
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing. I
yeah.
remember respectful times.
He's like that counselor that you like to listen to. When I was in college, man, I think it was when I was doing my undergrad. I had a counselor, right? And
Uh-huh.
I'll say his name. I hope he's still alive. His name is Gary Smith, Dr. Gary Smith. This guy was so smooth. He was amazing. When you're having a bad time or you're experiencing some bad stuff, he would just talk to you in this nice, calm voice and make you feel better.
Right,
Even,
exactly.
even if it's not better, it makes you feel better. Man, I love that dude. I love him, man. I hope he's still alive. It's been a
Well,
long,
see,
long
so
time.
you're still remembering him at this age, so that's a good thing. And so I am looking forward to continuing to hear Joe Biden speak, because
Yeah,
he gives you a sense of, it's like your grandfather
yeah,
going, "Okay, baby, it's okay.
yeah,
We're gonna
yeah,
make this work."
yeah. And then he tells you a story, right? He tells you a story.
Right,
Say, I remember when my dad and we sat down and he said this.
right.
He always has a story. Oh man,
That, because
unbelievable.
we craving a
Yeah,
grandfather right now,
yeah,
because we've had a lunatic for so long. We're
yeah.
craving the grandfather.
Oh yeah. So our guest today, Crystal, he's gonna talk to us about money. He's gonna talk to us about how how
Our guest
how
today is, I don't know.
how to counter our own money. Is that it? You know.
He's going to talk today. We're going to talk about retirement. Can you
So
hear
that
me?
yeah, that's counting your own money right there.
I don't know why.
Because in business,
Yeah, counting your own money. So
yeah, exactly. In business, he who knows how to count his own money gets to keep it.
yeah, exactly. So he's going to talk about that. He's a retirement planning expert and specialist there. So and when I met him, he reached out to me on Instagram, which I tell you, Instagram is a great place. I think when Jevon reached out to me, I had like 4 or 5 other people reach out from Instagram. So and from LinkedIn. So we always forget about LinkedIn. We always think
Yeah.
about Facebook and
LinkedIn,
Instagram
LinkedIn,
and
LinkedIn
Twitter.
is that cousin from out of town that you don't talk much about, right?
Exactly, but has much value. So everybody, you need to go over to LinkedIn every now and then and do some browsing and check your email.
Yeah, yeah. I never check my emails, man. I need to. I need to.
Yeah, you have to check your email. Yeah, so that you can see who's out there reaching out to you. But that's how I met him. He reached out on me, and so we've been having some great conversations. But one of them is on retirement, and so I was telling him I had just had a conversation on one of the classes I was teaching, and I was talking to these entrepreneurs about retirement, and they're like, how you go about doing that as an entrepreneur? So I thought, oh, okay, that's a weak spot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think as entrepreneurs, we think we're gonna work forever.
Okay,
We're gonna work forever, so we don't need a retirement, right?
that's right. That's what they think.
Yeah,
But I remember at
yeah.
one time, like many years ago, I had some issues. I was trying to do some retirement planning, and then at the same time, because it wasn't set up properly, I got hit with like a $22,000 tax bill from the IRS. I'm going, what? It was unbelievable, man.
Mm.
I'll never forget that. Never forget that.
So interesting enough, that's the name of the segment today. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. So maybe we should bring in our expert so he can tell us how not to be that guy.
Right, so let's bring him up. But let's do our little station break first so we can let
Yes.
everybody know to go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. So, Gilbert, take it away. Tell them who we are and why we do what we do.
Well, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4. And our purpose here on the air is to help small businesses. We provide advice, coaching, and assistance in terms of resources so your small business can grow. And one of the resources that we have today is an expert who is going to be on in a few seconds that will help you guys with your retirement. And if you're an entrepreneur, you don't know how to do retirement, this guest will show you exactly what to do, make you feel more comfortable, make you feel more at ease. Before we get started, I want to remind you guys to support us. We've been on the air for 4 years now. So if you don't mind, please go to Google. I'm sorry, go to YouTube or Facebook and click on the subscription bell in order to support us so we can provide you with any information we get to help your business as it arises. You don't want to miss out on any of these opportunities. We're working with thousands of small businesses and not just here in the United States, all over the world. A lot of small business. You know what's amazing, Crystal? A lot of
What's
small
that?
businesses who are listening to us and supporting us are from outside of the United States. They're in
Yes, they are.
Venezuela. They're in Africa, in all of these different nations. So come on, American entrepreneurs, step it up, step up your game.
Right. Just hit that button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will know when we're on every Friday afternoon at 3. You will get a notification. Tanisha is actually watching us from YouTube. So thank you, Tanisha, and we appreciate you subscribing. And you as well, Alfred. And yes, and Tanisha also is commenting that she loves Biden's calm, soothing, relaxing voice as well.
Definitely.
But with that, we're going to bring on our guest, Mr. Jevon Thomas. He is a licensed retirement plan specialist and consultant. He has over 15 years of experience helping participants and employers and business owners reach their retirement plan goals. He believes that successful retirement plans reflect the values of the organizations as well as ensure participants have choice in retirement. So, welcome, Jevon. We're glad to have you on the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert.
Well,
Welcome
thank you.
to the Business Zone, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And may I say, Gilbert, I love your haircut.
Oh,
That is
thank
just
you,
awesome.
thank you. It's one of those DIY. I did it myself.
I'm hip. Certainly hip to that. I like your haircut too, Crystal, but I just had to tell Gilbert that haircut.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little
we are
bit.
here today.
Tell us a little bit about
so you heard that.
your organization and why you decided to get involved in retirement planning.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So first of all, thank you so much for letting me be on your show and share a little bit of knowledge that I have about retirement plans. It is something that so many people need to have, want to have, and just do not have the right understanding. And that goes over to business owners and entrepreneurs as well. So thank you so much. A little bit about me. I was telling Chris a little bit earlier, I am from Alaska. I moved down to a couple of different places, down to San Diego, over there.
I gotta jump in right here, man. You are probably the only black dude in Alaska.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there were, let's see, in my high school, there were, I believe, 5 of us.
Really?
Yes, about 5 of us. One was the fastest man in the state. I'll let you go with that. And one of them was my buddy's sister. And when I went to school up in Fairbanks, Alaska, I
Yeah.
think there were maybe 7 or 8 of us, and 4 of them were on the basketball team. So, and then there
Wow.
was the rest. Yeah. So,
Man.
yeah, it is an interesting place.
So when we
Interesting
talk
place.
about endangered species, you guys personified that.
They were, like flies in the buttermilk, man. I mean, it was touch and go sometimes.
I'm sorry, man. I just had to say that.
I
Yeah.
am sure Jevon gets that on a regular basis because when he told me that, I'm like, now, how did Black people get to Anchorage, Alaska?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead
That's
and do
quite all
your
right. You're the
intro.
first one that's ever asked me that. It was good to get that.
Well, Gilbert is from Jamaica, so Jamaican saying trying to figure out how you got to the cold. He's trying to wrap his head around that.
Indeed.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Well, I tell you, I started this business because I know, particularly my dad, who was in the Army for
Yeah.
about 14 years. And once I learned about retirement plans, I realized that if someone had sat my father down and said, Sergeant Thomas, here's the deal. We want you to put away 10% of your income. If you do that, by the time you are 60 years old, you will not have to worry about where ends meet.
Wow.
You're going to
That's
have a good
amazing.
life.
That's
And
amazing.
I look at my father's life now, and my father's a very happy man. He
Yeah.
just got married to a younger woman,
All right.
72, but his life would have been dramatically different if he
Yeah.
had a solid retirement plan. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that drives me with regard to getting people hooked up with retirement plans.
Yeah.
So if you guys have some questions, that's cool. If not, let me just give you a basic breakdown of the way retirement plans work, and then
Okay.
we'll go from there. Is that
All
all
right.
right?
Sounds good.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
So I sell what are called qualified plans. That means they are qualified by the IRS and the Department of Labor for a person to take money out of their paycheck
Yeah.
and put it in a place where they can invest it. That's pretty much what it means.
Yeah.
I also sell what are called non-qualified plans. And those are plans that are usually used for business owners or people that make a lot of money, and they're there to hide that money from taxes. But but today we're gonna focus on qualified plans because that's what most Americans have the opportunity to invest in.
Yeah.
Okay. So you pretty much know the basics. Number one, you can put $19,500 away. If you're over 50, you put another $6,500 away. Number two, you take the money out when you're over the age of 59 and a half. If you take it out before then, you're going to be penalized and taxed, and that's not a good thing. It's a long-term investment, right? You've got 2 ages you need to be aware of. The first is 72 and a half. That's when you can start taking what we call a required minimum distribution.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got the 59 and a half, and you know that you're going to be taxed on all of those, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
However, if you put money away in the Roth section of your 401k, you won't be taxed. So that's the basics of the 401k.
Can I ask you a question, Jevon?
Yes.
Are you familiar with this retirement program called CalPERS? It's a program that the city of Los Angeles and government agencies use.
I'm sort of familiar with it. It's got a couple of different parts to it. I believe one is a pension plan and one is a plan where you can put money away, a thrift like plan. But what question did you have?
Well, those guys are my money.
Okay.
But I used to work for the city of Los Angeles. They've been stashing away money and all of that. So, they've got my retirement funds there. But I'm thinking, man, I want to play with my own money. I don't want those guys, doing stuff with my money that I don't even know what they're doing. So I'm trying to think of ways that I can access it and do some, other retirement stuff with it. So that's why I'm asking if you know how that works and, what are some of the flexibilities that one could have with those types of programs.
To be honest with you, I don't work with CalPERS. I don't work with the folks that work there. We'd probably want to take that offline and talk about some of the other things that you can do, because they do have sort of a pension sort of plan there that
Yeah.
I'm aware of.
Right.
But it is a good conversation, and we can do that.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the conversation I had. One of the conversations I had with Jevon is when you leave a employer,
Yeah.
and you go off either becoming an entrepreneur or you go off to another employer, what do you do with the retirement plan traditionally, even if it's a CalPERS or a regular 401k? What are you supposed to do? Are you just to leave it there and let it continue to accumulate money there, or do you move it somewhere else?
Oh, so we're going to jump right into "Don't Be This Guy," are we? Is that
Don't be this guy.
one of my favorite things to talk about? Of course, in my life, there are always a couple of answers, and the first short answer is, do not leave it there. Right? You need to be aware of your money. Sometimes you don't have a choice. So, for example, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe part of CalPERS is a pension situation where you don't have control. You just got to leave it. Right?
Exactly. Because when I left the city, I wanted to take my money with me and then take it to wherever I want, or I wanted to keep it there and keep adding more money to it. They wouldn't let me add any money to it. They're going, "Oh, you're no longer a city employee. We don't need your money."
Yeah. That's generally how pensions work. However, you are fortunate that you have that, because many pensions are suggesting, this is getting way too expensive for us as a city to take care of. And so we're going to adopt some type of thrift savings plan where people can actually contribute to the retirement in addition to that pension plan. That's kind of what we see usually now. And those thrift plans are generally what I work with, be they from the city or from a private individual. But to get back to Crystal's question, part of our show is about "Don't Be This Guy." That is one of my favorite subjects. And one thing that Crystal and I were talking about before is an example where one of my colleagues got a call from a gentleman saying, "Hey, you people have my money. I need it now. Give it to me." Right? And of course, as a financial advisor, we don't have your money, but we can find out where it is. It took us a while to figure out where it was. We finally found out where it was, and it took her a couple of days to figure out where it was. Finally, I said to her, "What's his social security number?" Start there. Once we got that, she found out exactly where it was and what had happened to it. And what had happened to it, it was at a big financial institution that is actually a very good place. And they had taken his money and they had tried to send it to him, but he never responded.
Oh, okay.
And now they had this money. It's still in the market. It's still growing, but they can't give it to somebody. The person doesn't have control over it. They're getting their fees are being taken out of it, and this is not a good situation. The company wants to make sure that if it's your money, you've got it, and you can do whatever you want with it. So finally, the fellow never contacted them, and this has been years ago. This has been back when he was in his 50s. Now he's in his 80s, and they couldn't get a hold of him, so they sent it to the state. They didn't know what to do with it. He didn't have any beneficiaries. He didn't have anything. So they took that money and sent it to the state. And I think you've heard of those programs where if some people call it unclaimed money, and it's generally money that people have forgotten about.
Like a lost and found, right?
Exactly. So the state's got his money. And sometime after he found out it was there, someone connected with him and said, "Hey, for 30% of your money, I can go and get it for you."
What?
Yeah. And this is money that this fellow didn't know that he had. So he told my colleague, "I'm just going to let them go get it." And my colleague said, "No, don't do that. I'll go get it for you." Meanwhile, I'm sitting back at my desk going, "No, you're not getting paid to get this money. You're not getting paid to chase this down. This is not your money. Tell him." And she's like, "No, this is the kind of service that we give here." I said, "Okay, fine." So she called that state agency. She found out he had about $800,000.
Wow.
A lot of money for most of us.
Decent money, man.
Yeah. And so she arranged for that state to send him the money, right? Which is great. The downside is that he was around 80 some odd years old. Ever since he'd been 70 and a half, he had to make what's called a required minimum distribution. He never did. He never did.
So what happened?
The penalties for the required minimum distribution, or not taking them, were somewhere around half the amount of money that he owed. So he had to pay the money that he owed. He had to pay the penalty for each year that he didn't take that required minimum distribution. So from his 800 some odd thousand, he was down to about 500. Dramatic.
Oh my God.
Those people, they know how to waive some of those fees, discretion. They call it discretionary situations, right? They could do that.
No, he had to pay the money. He had to pay the money. But we're talking about the IRS, man. We got a pandemic going on. We got all kinds of stuff happening here. They need their money.
Almost 50%, man. That's no good.
It's not good at all. It's not good at all. But if he had just gone back to the company that he was working at, or the company where he had the money, and kept in contact with them, at least just kept in contact with them, they wouldn't have had to send the money. They'd have let him know he had to pay those required minimum distributions. He wouldn't have lost all that money, and he'd be a much happier person now. And he wouldn't be confused. So for the longest time, he didn't even know where that money was. He just knew that someone owed it to him, and he couldn't get it, and he was being stonewalled by everybody in the industry. So if you work at a company and you make more, your 401k plan has more than $5,000 in it, they're going to leave it there. Right. But you've got to stay on top of it. So my advice is, if you have more than $5,000, if you have more than $1,000 for sure, make the decision to either move your money into an IRA. It's not going to cost you anything, or move your money into your next company's job. 401k. And I'll tell you, just to be honest with you, you don't make more money by moving it into an IRA.
Right.
You don't make more money by moving into your company's 401k plan. What you do, though, is you're able to manage that money according to your particular risk tolerance, your particular allocation, so that you don't get surprised. And also, you get to keep up with your money. You get to know where it is.
You don't get to be slapped that 40% penalty for not knowing.
Exactly. Right. Because we need money now.
I think you being on this show today, man, you helped me out a lot, because that money that CalPERS has that I haven't been touching. I know it's there, but I haven't been touching it. I'm gonna be touching this as of Monday, man. I'm gonna be calling. Where is my money? Where is my money?
It's a good thing to do, because you have a portfolio of assets, and that retirement money may play a particular role in that for you, and you want to know what that is. Because one thing that knowing where your money is does for you is it gives you the freedom to invest more, or to diversify things that are going to work for you, or just to have some control and to start a plan for when you're retiring. I told Crystal a story a little while ago about some folks that were working at a school. I don't know if you want me to go into that now, but do you want to hear that now?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So one of the things,
we don't want to be that guy, so we want to hear everything.
You got Gilbert's attention. Don't be that guy.
So I used to travel around the country doing education meetings for folks, and I was down at Emory University doing some meetings. I'd stand up in front of a group of 40 or 50 people and talk for an hour or so about retirement plans. It's very, very exciting. So I was in front of this group, and the HR person came up to me and she said, "Jevon, we usually don't do meetings for this group, but I've gotten them all together, and I was hoping you had some time if you could go and talk with them. I know it's not in your schedule, but if you could, that'd be really great." And I said, of course I can do that. And she said, "These are the maintenance workers on the university. So these are the people that fix things. They fix the roads. They go up in the roofs. They fix those. And this is Emory University. This is pretty much Atlanta. So it's hot and it's humid in the summertime, and it's chilly in the wintertime. So these are some hard-working people, right? And they're usually out on the job site, so they don't get a chance to talk to somebody like me." So I go down there. We're about, And before I start my spiel, she gets up in front of me and she says, Jen, she says, if you work at this university as a college professor or as an administrator, you can work here well into your 80s because, you know, the work is just not that physically taxing.
Mhm.
That you folks don't have that opportunity. You folks are not going to be able to lift that load and tote that bale in your 60s and 70s and 80s. So you need to start planning for your retirement now. You need to make sure it happens now. And I think about that from time to time when I see folks that are in their 60s and 70s and they're thinking to themselves, just like my mom, I'm tired of working. I don't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
And then we take a look at their finances and we go, I wish this was 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
we could like start planning for this eventuality,
Mhm.
right?
That,
So if there's one thing I can leave with your folks, it's that please start early. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be a lot, just
Yeah.
a little bit, but start early and get some help.
That's
So
excellent.
so one
Alfred has a question. He says, if you have more than one company that are at some point, they all interconnect and most of the principal employees are family, what kind of plan would you recommend or should they look at in implementing in their company?
I would say number one, they definitely want to look at implementing a plan. And if they're all interconnected, we have these things, you know, associated groups and control groups. If they're all pretty much together, owned by one family and generally by one person, start a plan for everybody, right? Make it just one plan, save yourself some money there, and allow each of your family members to put away $19,500. And those are over 50, put away another 6K. There's some other things that you can do, and we can talk offline about that with regard to putting extra monies in for your family members. But there's nothing better than allowing people to control their destiny and start that 401k.
So Jevon, what if you put away 20 grand instead of the 19,500? What happens?
If you put away the 20 grand, then they'll send you 500 back and say you can't do this pre-tax. You gotta pay taxes on it. But for Albert, he definitely wants to look into doing a 401k. And
Yeah.
most companies, you're going to have an individual 401k per company. But in his situation, it
Yeah.
sounds like he can have one 401k for all of those folks. And in a couple of years, he may not even have to pay that.
Right.
The benefit is everybody that works for him gets to contribute to that money. He can decide, or to that 401k plan. He can decide if he wants to match or not. He
Yeah.
can decide if he wants to add profit sharing or not. He can decide how he wants to incent people with his 401k plan. So he's got a lot of options if he just starts that. And having
Now,
multiple families and companies is a good thing.
now, Jevon, can you tell our audience the difference between a Roth IRA versus a 401k and
You bet.
any
You
other
bet.
competitive ones?
You bet. That's a great question. So let's break the Roth IRA versus the regular IRA down first. Let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we know how the regular IRA works. You put about $6,000 in there, and I believe it's 6,500 this year. You put the money in. It grows what we call tax deferred, which
Mm-hmm.
means that you don't pay taxes on the money as it's growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only pay taxes on the money when you take it out,
Yeah.
and you can take it out at age 59 and a half, right? And then at the age of 72, now you have to pay what's called a required minimum distribution. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the traditional IRA.
Yeah.
The Roth IRA is different in that the money goes in after tax. So the traditional IRA goes in pre-tax, the
Mm-hmm.
Roth IRA goes in after tax. After
Mm.
tax is like, okay, I'm going to the store, I buy a loaf of bread. That came out of my paycheck after I paid taxes. So
Yeah.
that's a big chunk, right?
Yeah.
So you put your money in after tax, it grows tax free, which means
Oh,
that when you turn 59 and a half, you don't have to pay tax on those monies to pull it out.
wow.
Yeah. Now,
See,
why is that
these are the kind of things, man, our entrepreneurs needed to know a long time ago.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And so why is that a good thing for an entrepreneur? Well, number one, when you're deciding what bucket of money you're going to pull monies from, you can look at what's going to be more taxed and what's going to be less taxed. And of course, the money
Mhm.
that comes out of the Roth is
Yeah.
going to be less taxed.
So with that being said, there's a follow. I know you didn't address the 401k part yet, but because my brain is going now that you're talking, because I'm dealing
Yeah.
with these small businesses every day, and I see where they're getting jacked.
Yeah.
If they're a sole prop, if
Yeah.
they're a sole prop or LLC, they're getting jacked because they're getting hit with that self-employment tax. Which is 15% added to that 35%.
Bingo.
Bam, they got
Yeah.
50% right there. So in a case like that, we just talked about how you can put away something after tax
Yep.
and it won't be taxed later on. So
Mhm.
if they're a sole prop or an LLC, that's going to get hit with that self-employment tax,
Yep.
which is crazy.
Yep.
What would you recommend? Would you recommend them put it in before that 50% tax taken out of their self-employment and regular tax, or just do it afterwards? What would you recommend?
Well, I don't want to speak about every situation because they're all different. But
Yeah.
in general, I would say that your monies that go into your 401k in a pre-tax situation is just that.
Yeah.
It's pre-tax. So
Yeah.
we're going to reduce your income by $19,500. That ain't
Mm-hmm.
bad, right? And if
Uh-huh.
you're over 50, another 6K. So if
Yeah.
you're thinking, I don't have enough money to retire because I got to pay these taxes, you want to
Mm-hmm.
reevaluate them and say, I don't have enough money not to put money into this 401k plan because
Yeah.
I'd rather be taxed on $19,000 less than the full amount of my taxable liability, right? As my mother,
Mm,
it's like my mother used to say, it's not how much you make, how much
yeah.
you get to keep,
Right.
right?
Right.
Get
Right.
the
Right.
key.
Yeah. Now let
So
me add something. Let me add something else to that before you get going.
yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
right back to the 401k before we lose that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you make too much money to contribute to an IRA
Yeah.
and get the tax benefit, right? Let's say you
Right.
do. Well, there's no income limit on a 401k,
Yeah.
right? So you could make 200,000, 300,000, $400,000 a year, still put money in that 401k plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not a bad thing.
Right.
And let's say that you make too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA, but you really like the idea of growing that money tax free.
Mm-hmm.
There's no income limit on the amount of money that you can put in a Roth 401k,
Mm.
right?
See,
So you get where I'm going there?
these are good things. Yeah, this is good
Yeah,
information right
yeah,
here.
yeah. So,
We're gonna have to connect the link of your website to the Business Zone's website so people can tap in and see what's going on. You see what
you
I
know,
mean? Because this is great information, man.
yeah, it's definitely a pleasure. I'm a little bit nerdy and a little bit geeky about this thing, so I love
I,
all
I
kinds of questions.
we love nerds and geeks on this program. Crystal is a nerd.
Yeah.
She's one of those IT nerds. She knows everything about those IT stuff. I
But
write
I'm a cool nerd.
I, I, I,
That's
I
good.
write on her coattails.
There she is. That's good.
Guide me and show me where to go. So
but
we love nerds on here.
Jevon, for so many of our clientele, they're some of them were what I call opportunity entrepreneurs. They had, they lost their job, so they became entrepreneurial. Some of them left their pensions at the companies that they were in. A lot of their companies may not even be in existence today.
Yeah.
But now when you talk to them about retirement, they're like, well, I don't see retirement anywhere on the horizon because I don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to work until the day I stop working. So what would be some suggestions or recommendations for them, especially in the fact that money is a little tight, but they still do have to think about retirement. Let's say they're at the age of 50, and I would say probably a person could have another 25 or 30 years of working, even in their own businesses. What would be some of the suggestions or recommendations for them?
With regard to setting up a retirement plan, I still think it's a good idea. If you're looking at your finances and you're saying to yourself, this is a tough year, the only thing I can do is $3,000. That's all I can do. I would say set up an IRA, do that. And if you can afford the 5 or 6K, set up a 401k and do that. Number one, it's pre-tax money, right? So you can reduce your tax liability. Number two, you have to pay yourself first. You have to do it. So you just gotta find a way to just balance. We talk about balance all the time in my office with our participants. Not everybody can put away $19,000. Some people can only put away 3,000. Some people can only put away 4,000. But you got to start doing a little bit, and you do a little bit, and you can do a little bit more, and a little bit more, and eventually you'll be putting away lots of money. Most financial advisors suggest that you put away between 10 and 15% of your income. I talk to people every day. I think I've met maybe 8 out of the 18 years that I've been doing this that put away 10 or 15% of their income. So the deal is start early and just put that money in there. One of the things that I talk to folks about is if you have a little something, you can make a plan, right? So start, make that plan. Push come to shove, if you've got to change the plan, that's something we can work with. But if you don't even have a plan, we're stuck. And let's not forget, the older we get, the easier it is for us to get hurt. So you may think that you can work, you're going to have to work till 75, and I don't know, something happens to you at 55. What are you going to do? Or something happens to you at 65. What are you going to do? And I know a lot of people right now who are thanking their higher power that they had retirement plan assets. But let's not forget, right? The checks, not the stability checks, but the checks that the government was giving out.
Stimulus check.
Yeah, those ended in July.
Yeah.
If you had another 30, 40K, and that's not a huge amount of money in your 401k plan, you might have been able to tap that. Right? So it's not something that I suggest people do, but I do know that in a tough situation, you got to do what you have to do. And saving early and planning is a great way to get ready. So I would say start early. And as Gilbert was pointing out, you got to pay 15% sales. You got to pay both sides if you're an entrepreneur.
Right?
So why not reduce that income and keep it? The government wants you to have a retirement plan. They want you to be self-sufficient when you retire. And the only way they know how to do that, because all the revenue they can get, it's just going to come from taxes and fees and things like that. So the only thing they can do is reduce your tax liability. And that's what they're doing. So take advantage of it.
So, folks, in essence, what we're trying to say to you, there's some of you who go to church on Sundays and you tithe to the church. You pay 10% of your earnings as tithe. But if you're not going to church, you can pay that 10% tithe to yourself in the form of retirement.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you can pay it to Jevon, but that's okay. You can pay it to yourself. That's fine. I don't want to be greedy.
In the form of a retirement program. And, after a few years, you'll be fine. And also, Jevon, from what I'm understanding, if you put away retirement funds and you get into some hard time like most of us did with this COVID stuff, right? We can borrow from our own retirement fund and pay it back, right? Like it's a loan that we're paying to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great point to get up. I just wanted to jump in there because I got a little excited. I'm sorry. But if you're working for the same company, then you can definitely take out a loan. Well, you could have that special loan program has ended. It ended in September, but the withdrawal program is there, and I just did one yesterday, or the money just came out yesterday, and that's currently at $100,000. So, and they're making it fast. Companies out there know that people need this money. The stimulus check is gone, so they're turning it around pretty quick. So, I would say in the usual situation, if something goes bad, you can ask to withdraw some of those funds. Are you going to pay taxes? Yep, you're going to pay taxes. Are you going to pay a withdrawal fee? Pretty much, if you're not under 59 and a half. But is your family going to have dinner that night?
Right.
right?
And
A
if
lot of
they're
account savings.
and if they're in business, then yes, they're going to pay taxes, but next year is going to be a very interesting year for taxpayers anyways because you've lost so much. I mean, I've been
Yeah,
consulting clients for the last since probably for the last 3 months, and I mean, individuals have lost at least somewhere between 60 to 75% of their revenue base, especially if they had to completely shut down
yeah,
Yeah,
during that time. Like, look at a lot of restaurant owners have had to
right,
completely shut down until
right,
they could figure out how they could do outdoor dining, if they could even do outdoor dining. So
right,
even though you will incur a tax on this side, but you're going to incur a lot of loss on the other
right,
side of it. So it
right,
may balance itself out. So I would say, reach out to a retirement specialist from that side, and then also make sure you're reaching out to your CPA to have conversation as to what does this look like next year. And even next year, I mean, there's no we're probably looking at another 2 to 3 years of this. It's going to take Biden one. God knows what he's going to find once he gets to the White House.
yeah.
It opens up that bottom drawer.
He's gonna find the boogeyman in the closet.
You know how when you go to a new job, and your predecessor,
yeah,
Yeah.
you go open up the
yeah,
bottom drawer, you're
yeah,
like, oh my
Oh yeah.
God.
oh yeah,
So when
yeah,
he opens up the bottom drawer, they gonna
yeah,
find a whole lot of fun stuff
yeah,
in the bottom
Yeah.
drawer.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
so we,
yeah.
we we really have to really start talking to our professionals. We have Greg Sneed that just popped in, and he says, tell me about it. So talk to your retirement advisor, which could be Jevon. So I put his contact information there.
Thank
uh,
you.
your financial coach, which could be Greg Sneed.
Yeah. There you go. And make sure you put some Jamaican food in there too for him. He likes
Yeah,
he likes that curry goat.
yeah, yeah. You might better negotiate with Greg with curry with some real Jamaican food,
Yeah,
maybe, because and then make sure you have not just someone preparing your taxes. I think next year people really need to, and this is Greg as well. You really need to speak to a CPA or
Yeah.
someone that's going to be on top of what's going to be the outcome. And this is just for our micro businesses, our sole props, our LLCs, and especially if you have S corps and C corps. Greg said, "Yeah, man."
Yeah, man.
um, because it's going to be a very unique year for all of us, and so you don't want to be caught. We already been caught with a whole lot of nonsense throughout this year and surprises. But you want to make sure in 2021 and moving into 2022 that you are prepared and know with foresight to know what you're about to encounter.
Crystal, that's a good point you brought up because with this stimulus, this pandemic, the PPP loan, and some people may have gotten grants, all of those things put together is changing the landscape and the dynamic of how us as small businesses are going to have to file our taxes because all of those things are things we're going to have to either take deductions or whatever. So we need someone who really understands what's going on. We don't need a little back alley, you know, tax preparer to try to do that for us because we need the help. Because some of these things I'm sure could be written off based on, the loan itself, how it's structured through the SBA and the PPP. So yeah, small businesses, you need to reach out and get some professional advice from these professionals like Mr. Jevon Thomas, or if you want to reach out to Mr. Greg Sneed, just make sure you call them ahead of time, set up an appointment, you do that one-on-one counseling with them so they can start guiding you now. This is December right now, and guess what? If you're a small business, your 1099 submissions are gonna come due When, Crystal? In 2
December
weeks?
30th. The companies have to have it done by no later December 31st, and then it has to be out to the their contractors by January 30th.
See? So you guys need to get on the ball right now. And while you're doing that, you need to be talking to these financial experts to tell you what to do. Alfred has a question. He
And
said,
also, I would say that you need to really start getting your financials together because you're going to have to account for the loss. So,
right.
even though you haven't done much business, um, you haven't done much business this year, or you have had more losses, you still want to make sure you account for that. So Alfred says, Gilbert, lately I've been approached by business owners wanting to sell the business. Do their certifications automatically come with the business?
Yeah, that dissolves once you have new ownership, because the certification is for each person, each owner, each qualifying owner. So, if I own 51% of the business and I'm minority, and Crystal is buying from me and she's not minority, she doesn't assume my minority status. Now, Greg also said that don't do your taxes. Don't let your plumber do your taxes.
Because that's his side gig. Yeah, we want to go with the experts next year. It's going to be important. But also, a lot of the loans, and I want to congratulate Greg, because Greg actually received his 100% loan forgiveness for the PPP.
Really? Oh man! How did he get that? How did he get that? I got to learn how.
So you might want to talk to Craig so you can get your paperwork right. He submitted his own paperwork. He had, so you might want to talk to him because he's been 100% forgiveness.
Oh man, that's what we need. So again, that's another aspect, another line item on the tax return that has to be taken care of, right? Because the loan is there, and then the forgiveness is there too. So, how do you handle it? Do you handle it like
That's why you can't have a plumber. Can't have the side gig guy doing your taxes for you.
Indeed.
And Veronica just plugged you, Gilbert. Veronica says that's why you need Gilbert SmallBizPro.
That's right, Veronica. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're at like 357 by the Lord and the SBA. That's how he was forgiven. Oh, that's Greg's need. So, Jevon, so your advice to one, first of all, there was a question: who does the 401k money belong to?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Because so many people think that because they have a financial advisor, that he actually has the money, or she's actually making the decision, so she has the money. And nothing could be further from the truth. Your monies are at some typically investment house or insurance company. That's a group that actually takes care of making sure the statements come out, making sure the money's in the right place, making sure that the money's going to go to the right place once you pass away. It's a big gig, right? The advisor, folks like myself, we just help direct that money. We just take what you want and we say this is where they want to put it. That's our job, and to help you make that decision.
Right.
So, and then we have another person, a third party in there that actually keeps you out of fiduciary trouble with the IRS and things like that. So,
very good.
However, if you do start a 401k plan, your first line of defense, the first people you ought to call is your advisor, right? Depending on your relationship, I would call the advisor first, and maybe you'll get brave enough and call the company or call the third party administrator. But you can always call your advisor, and it's their job. You're paying them to help you out, so call them up.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, we have a lot of here. We have a combo. Most everybody's self-employed, but there's a couple of individuals that are working for other people. So we don't want to be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy, guys.
Yeah.
Stacy McBride said, "Good stuff, guys." Thank you, Stacy, for listening and watching the Business Zone. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4. And you can tune in by going to Facebook or on YouTube, or you can even go to our own website at the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert.com. So
exactly. And if you go hit that bell over on YouTube, it doesn't hurt you. You don't have to spend any money. It's just showing how much you love Gilbert and I and want us to be here every week. And you want to get a notification when we're on air. So just go over there and hit that little bell, that little subscriber button, and you'll be notified every week. Actually, because I put up the notification about a week before, you'll get a notice every day until we come on.
Also, guys, if you hit that notification bell, just want to let you know, breaking news, breaking news. If you hit that, if you hit that notification bell, all your sins that you incurred over the last 12 months will be forgiven along with your PPP loans. Okay?
Now you're making fake promises.
Yeah, that's breaking fake news over there, Gilbert. That's fake news, man.
Breaking news. Breaking fake news. Breaking fake news.
But if you do hit that bell over there, Gilbert and I will have, I will provide you with a 45-minute complimentary consultation on how to plan and pivot for 2021.
Yeah.
And Gilbert, what you gonna give away?
I'm gonna offer you a free back office subscription for 60 days, and I'll give you also some coaching. So give us a call. Give us a call. We'll set you guys up.
Yeah, so our commitment to our community is to make sure that you guys are business ready, bank loan ready, and contract ready. And speaking of which, before we wrap up, this week there was a whole lot of announcements about money that was being made available for us. So one of them is, and I'm sure many people saw this notification that came from Governor Newsom, there is going to be a $500,000, $500 million grant that's going to be provided for small businesses that have been impacted by COVID. But and in the beginning of the year, they're going to launch out what that's going to look like. So you guys want to stay tuned and keep coming back to the Business Zone on Friday, but as well on the show that I do on Thursday called the Community Briefing Show, the Community Business Briefing Show. We have Colette Moore that comes on every Thursday and gives you an update what's going on. There are CDFI, which is where a lot of the money where a lot of the money it finds itself, and so she keeps us up to date. So there were some great money packages. Some of them were loans, and I don't know if we really truly want to have more loans right at the present moment. We probably do not, because we already have that loan that we're trying to get forgiven. But we do want to make sure that if there's money out there for us, that we can get help, because from what I'm hearing, there are a lot of businesses that have had to close their doors. And so if we can keep your doors open and keep you at least surviving until we can get you to that thriving place, we want to do that. So reach out to me and I will provide you with the presentation that she sent over to me. If you are a restaurant and you had there's some grant money out there for you, especially if you had an outdoor dining. They will help you out. So reach out to me, because that one has a very short window for you to apply for it. And then ladies, if you have a business out there, there are about 4 or 5 different grants that's specific for women in business. And then finally, the Los Angeles Urban League, there is a mini grant that we are trying to give away. And so reach out to me for that as well. You have to be a business that has earnings less than $150,000 a year. and a minority-owned business, you have to be your business has to be registered in some capacity, whether you're a sole prop or an LLC. You have to show that paperwork, and you have your taxes for 2019 or 2018. If you haven't paid your taxes and you're still on. Right now, you're in penalty if you haven't at least filed it. But you have some you've had your taxes done. But it's a mini grant, and it can help you with whatever pivoting decisions you or recommendations that you are or needs that you have. You will register for it, and you will be consulted with by myself or 4 other individuals at the Urban League, consultants at the Urban League, and then we will help you get some money to help you with your pivot. So that's the money that is out there for our small businesses.
Oh, Crystal, that grant that you talked about for, I think it's with the Urban League, for generate revenues less than 100 or 150,000.
150,000. You have to be a for-profit business.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of money, but it's about $5,000.
Is it still going? Is it still going? That program
still going. Uh-huh.
So guys, you need to jump on that right now, because guess what? If you don't, I will.
You can as well. Anybody can. This is not just for women. This is for men and women. But you know, it's what I have been doing with the individuals that I've consulted is a lot of them need marketing campaigns. A lot of them need to figure out how they're going to pivot over to an online platform. Yeah. And so they can use the monies there as opposed to using the monies that they do have, that they need for their operating expenses. And then if you need it for your operating expenses, you can use it there. But it's some good money. You know, if you need to hire someone to do your social media for you, or at least get it in place so it can become self-running, self-piloting, then that's a good use of the money that you could receive.
Do they need to be domiciled in the county or the city of Los Angeles? Is that where they have to operate their business out of? Yeah, they need to be
in the greater Los Angeles, LA County area.
LA County.
LA County area.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
The LA County area, and for-profit, minimum less than $150,000 a year, and make sure that their business is and they have to show either a P&L, and they have to show that they filed taxes, and they should have their business license with the city.
Okay, sounds good. Well, folks, that to me sounds like a very easy and simple proposition to get $5,000. Get out there and do it.
Yeah, so they just need to reach out to me so I can give them the link so they can register for the grant. Then we schedule an appointment, and we do a 1-hour consult, and then the consultants will they will recommend if it's feasible and tangible and it makes sense. Then we will recommend you for the grant, and then it goes before a review board. It's fast and quick, and turnaround is usually between 7 and 10 days.
Sounds good to me.
Nice.
Yeah. So don't pass up money right now.
Jevon, I want to ask you one more question before we go. Sure. Is your organization affiliated with lenders, or it's just retirement?
I focus on retirement plans.
Oh, okay.
Qualified and non-qualified retirement plans only. Yes.
Man, you've been a wealth of knowledge on this show, man. I really appreciate you. I'm just so sorry to hear that you're the only black dude there in Alaska.
He's down in Orange County now. We just got close.
I'm coming, Gilbert. I'm coming, man. I'm coming. I'm gonna get to you sooner or later.
I am so sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you so much for letting me be on your show. I had a great time. I just want to put out to everybody, if you have a question, I am sort of nerdy, sort of geeky, so please send it to me. Call me on the phone. Crystal put my information out there, and if there's anything I can do for you folks, please ask.
And we'll definitely have you back on the show.
So do you want me to put your phone number there?
Sure, I have no life.
Do you want me to put your phone number, Jevon?
Yes, please do.
I have no life. What's the number that you want to use?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm baking cookies. You know, put it out there. It'll be good for someone to talk to.
Y'all gonna have retirement plan discussions over cooking. Oh,
Yeah.
Jevon, what's the number you want me to use?
It's 949-545-1358.
And for those of you who tuned in or just tuning in to the Business Zone, you're watching this Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and our very special guest is Mr. Jevon Thomas, and he is a retirement planner, specialist, and expert. He knows his stuff inside out. And when you get an opportunity to work with anyone, and if that person part of their classification is that they're a nerd, you want to work with them because that means they have a lot of information. That means they have a lot of information that you can use. See, I'm trying to be a nerd, but I'm not qualified. Jevon and Crystal, they're the nerds. They got all this information. I just have the basic.
When it comes to that certification, you can't do better than Mr. Gilbert over here. He is the certification guru.
Nerd.
Yeah, there you go. You're a certification nerd, my dude, my brother. So you definitely, if you look into certified, and that's another thing, Gilbert. I was talking to on the show yesterday. I was talking to someone, and this is a really good time for people to really look into becoming certified, because if you can't do business with consumers, this is a really excellent time to be able to do business with business or business to business. Would you not agree?
Exactly. That's definitely the thing, because most consumers, they're holding on to their money right now because it's either non-existent or a small amount. So they're holding on to it, so they're not spending it with you and your business. But the government, they still have mandates and initiatives to do these projects. So they still need small businesses to provide services or products to them. And we're talking the county, we're talking the city of Los Angeles, we're talking the federal government and the state of California. So you guys make sure you get certified. Even if you don't use me to help you, you can do it yourself, or you can bring in someone else to help you out. But try to get certified. I wanna say a big shout out to Alfred, Greg Sneed, Veronica, Elizabeth Spigner.
Elizabeth, Veronica.
Yeah. And also Taisha, thank you so much for tuning in. Pat Langford, all of you guys, our loyal supporters. Thank you guys. We really appreciate you tuning into the Business Zone.
And Tanisha says, Jevon, she's going to reach out. She's going to be in touch with you. She wants to talk about her retirement. So there you go. Well, everyone, awesome. So any words of further wisdom you want to leave with our audience, Jevon, before we close out?
I would just say, number one, I really do like Gilbert's haircut, just so you know that. But,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Number two, I would say, get a plan. The first thing you got to do is get a plan. Don't leave things to other people and think to yourself, oh, I'm going to be taken care of. Yeah. Get a plan, whether it's healthcare, your phone, your car, your retirement, whatever it is. Get yourself a plan and understand that the plan's going to change. But we got to start with a plan. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And if you don't get a plan, we'll give you a haircut like mine and Jevon's.
Don't worry about it. They don't have a plan. It's gonna fall out and be like yours and Jevon's.
That's a low blow, huh?
But you guys intentionally did yours. Theirs is gonna fall out because they've been worrying and stressed out. So there you go. We want to thank you guys for tuning into the Business Zone. Have a great week. Be safe. Put your mask on so we can come out of this quarantine mode that we're in.
Jevon, please don't hang up, Jevon. we're gonna do the outro, and then we're gonna come back to you. So
You bet.
Right. So we want to make sure you tune back in next Friday at 3:00 and check out Gilbert and I. Who knows who we always have great guests on, and he and I have a great time here. So
that's right.
and so we invite you back next week, and I also invite you to the Thursday community business briefing. There's a lot of stuff going on from Washington, and as well as the state of California. So you always want to tune in because we have great guests over there that keeps us in tune and in receipt of information that is hot off the press. So you really want to tune in. That one is a Zoom call. So you have to reach out to me and let me know you would like to be invited. We do stream live on Facebook, but if you want to actually be on the Zoom call, you have to reach out to me so I can send you the link. So have a great weekend, everyone. And we will see you next week. Be safe. Keep your mask on. And tell your neighbors to keep their mask on, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.